Hello, everybody, and welcome to DFF on Ice, episode 16. This is the 2025-26 season recap. You are listening to the DFF on Ice theme, produced, created, performed by Walter King. Good year 2026, and there that goes. So anyway, I just want to welcome you guys. We got Sig, Steve, and myself. We're prepared and ready to discuss all things Flyers hockey from the past season. So, Sig, do you want to do what you do?
Sure, let's get this thing started. So, all right, not sure how much the Flyers listen to us, but maybe if they did listen to us, they would still be playing. So, at the off chance that they are watching, but mostly for our own enjoyment, remember our motto: take the shot.
Take the fucking shot.
Nostrovia.
All
right, good stuff.
All right.
Back to you, Butcher.
Thank you for that, Sig. All right, well, guys, let's just jump right into it. We don't have any comments yet. Nobody said fuck. Wait, we're a minute in and nobody said fuck the Pens yet.
Oh,
All right, we're
What's the matter, wife? Are you alive?
We're shutting it down. Our fans don't care anymore.
Don't be sad, people. Don't be sad.
Yeah, exactly. We got plenty to celebrate here, guys. Plenty to celebrate. So let's go ahead and let's just start talking. Let's just start talking about the season, man. Let's Steve, let's get into the season here and talk about what the Flyers accomplished, what they failed to accomplish. All right, Paul is here.
Hey, guys, we gotta love
let's
Paul.
go Flyers and fuck the Penguins.
I was worried about Paul. He was
Shots
one
up and
person.
shots down.
Maybe Paul more so than my wife.
Fuck the Penguins.
No.
So well done.
There you go.
You two. We appreciate that. Steve, go ahead.
I mean, I would say it was a season of two halves. I mean, I know you used that analogy with football and baseball and the All-Star break and such, but I think this team really made that more true than any other team I can think of, with being able to win 18 of your last 25 games. I don't care if you are a first place team or a last place team. That's really hard to do. And you come out of the Olympic break and you just start putting all those wins together, and it was a wonderful second half of the season. I remember in January I put a bet on the Flyers to make the playoffs because I had hope. I didn't think they would. I had hope. That was the good old 3.8% that we all love, and it was like plus 600, and I won. I was like, hooray! So that was nice. But I really thought the second half of the season was so good, and I don't really know, excluding playoffs, I don't really know what more you would have wanted from the team from I just about said All-Star break, from the Olympic break on. So I like I said, it's between two halves. Your first half was obviously I mean, you started off okay, but that null in the middle, December, January, that was rough. And I think that's why the Flyers were not a higher seed than they actually were. Why am I not in the pool? It's cold out there. Actually, I can maybe do that in the future. I don't know. We don't want to see that.
Everybody wants you in the pool, Steve. Just buy a scuba suit.
Right,
buy a neoprene suit.
Craig David is having a conversation right over us.
Let him go. Cool. Let him go.
Hey, we can make it worse. You and I could do it from the pool.
I would say better, but okay.
You know what?
What do you got? Like I said, I thought it was two halves, and
I think we get a kiddie pool and we hang out in front with your.
That's hilarious.
With your neighbor.
That's hilarious. My dope neighbor coming soon to a TikTok page near you. Anyway, so I'm going to go one step further than Steve with his two halves. It was really more thirds. They October, November, they went from okay to really good. I don't really count October because I was out of the country, and that was probably the reason. And you guys started this shit without me. But they were about 500 when I got back. They were okay. They had some big wins in October. At November, they went like 10-5, something like that. November into early December, they went like 10-5.
Yeah, they had
pretty big wins and all, but then they just, they well, a bunch of things could have happened, and like from about early mid-December, to after the break, that was that middle third that was just brutal. They always have their swoon in January or late December, especially on the West Coast trip. But it was funny. It was like a West Coast trip that kind of made them gel this time. The second West Coast trip. Even the first one wasn't bad, to be honest.
It wasn't. No,
it wasn't.
That was during the lean, middle third of the season. But then, like, as Steve said, after they came back from the Olympic break, they just fucking went balls to the wall and got into the playoffs. So it was definitely a strange season, definitely like a real roller coaster season. So I'm happy in the end, but I could have done without that, BS in the middle.
Yeah. When I look at their records month by month, and I sent this out to you guys earlier, like I look at October 6-3-1. And they were 0-2-1 on the road. So they were 6-1 at home. So early in the season, they were winning those home games. In November, they went 8-4-2, and they were 2-2-2 at home. So something like all of a sudden they lost the mojo at home, but on the road they go 6-2. And December 6-5-4. This is where they started to kind of come back to earth, I think, after that really solid start. And then they had identical 3-2-2 home and road records. So during that part of the season, like, December was a little rough, but it wasn't bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't bad. So they were hanging on. They were doing what they needed to do. And then fucking January rolled around, guys, and it was catastrophic. Like 1-4-2 at home in January. And they needed momentum going into the break, or at least that's what we thought. And then they go into the break and they come out, guys. And, 3-1-1 in February. I think that was before the break, right? And then 10-4-1 in March, 6-2 in April. And April was when it got real exciting because we had Martone up. We had Bump playing. We had Vladar was healthy and standing on his head. And then the games that Urson came in, he looked good. So, like, the way that the season rolled in waves, it was really that December plateau and then that January swoon that kind of did them in. But the other teams in the conference, they were really good. And I don't know if we would have boosted our playoff standing all that much. You know what I mean? Like our positioning.
Yeah. Well, and with January too, I remember posting like Happy New Year. I'm like, the Flyers currently have a 64% chance to make the playoffs. And then again, that went down to the 3.8. Like, that's really what January did. It was that bad. You dropped over 60% point-wise of making the playoffs. Like, that's nuts. So yeah, it was that, like Sig said earlier, it was that middle sliver that really got the team.
Yeah, it stung. I think that really stung was that. And that's when the youth started the show. That's when we were, I don't recall anybody on our page sincerely calling for Tocchet to get fired. No. We heard a lot of that. Where are all the assholes who said fire Tocchet? I don't think anybody was sincerely calling for that, but that's where, people started questioning.
Well, I mean, look, it's December, the chinks in the armor start to show. The power play starts to really go south.
Yeah.
They're losing more, start losing more games that they should be winning. January, it all goes to kind of hell. Young team, they start losing their confidence. They start reaching. The coach, this is his first big market. He wants to really, it's his homecoming. He starts to falter a little bit with some of his press conferences under the media pressure. He might say some things that he probably shouldn't have said or whatever. So that starts to show. Briere has to step in and say, well, what coach meant, the whole thing. It's like, and Philadelphia being Philadelphia, it's like everybody reacts, overreacts. Oh my God, the world is ending. Mitch Goff is fat. Let's trade him. And it's just who we are. It doesn't matter. We got our happy clappers. We got our miserable fucks. And then the rest of us in the middle are just, we live by the day with our sports. It doesn't matter what team it is. It's just when we're in the game, we could be the worst team in the world playing the best team in the world. And we're going to fucking complain that we're losing or why we're losing. It's just the way we are. And, right. But January wasn't pretty. Was not pretty.
No, it was tough to endure, and people will make up their own reasons. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, I don't know that other sports towns do it. I know that Philly does it, where when things don't go right or things don't go well, people kind of make up their own reasons why it's not going right, and that's that knuckleheadedness, the Philly sports fans, where they're trading, oh, we're gonna trade fucking Igor Zamula for fucking Connor McDavid. Like, let's make that happen. And they're calling it the radio show saying this shit. It's but yeah, guys, like there were a lot of games that, and we say it every season, every sport, there are those early games or those mid-season games that are winnable, that you should win, and then they lose. Are there, like, I know, Sig, you were talking about before we came on, you had some games to talk about. What games in particular did you want to kind of mention?
All right. So right off the bat, I'm not going in any games in October because I really didn't see any of them. But the really one first game that I think we all got bent out of shape over was that 2-1 loss to Calgary at home. And we said, and we say this in the for the Phillies, we say this for whoever, early games do matter. You got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. That's 2 points. And we probably would have been, in the third place in the division at that point. It's very possible. If we win the games we're supposed to win. The next game was the December 1st against the Pens. And we lost that game, but that wasn't the real problem. The problem is the Forster injury. That set us back. That is what finally caught up to us in December and then snowballed into January. He was the number one player on the team, the number one penalty killer, the number one power play guy. He was your goal scorer from the year before. He was on fire. Since he come back from an early injury, 10 goals and whatever it was, 10 games or something like that. That hurt them. Next game, 12-3, Buffalo. We win versus Buffalo. That was right about when Buffalo starts their incredible run.
That's right.
And mostly, and I repeat, mostly because that was the birth of the Just a Tippett meme, which
yes
is.
So you were at that game, is what you're trying to tell us.
Steve and I were at that game, and it was at the end of the game, and I was hungry, and I go to the concession stand right out behind us. I'm getting something quick. I don't normally eat pretzels or anything like that. My wife wanted cookies. That's what it was, something sweet. I get the Insomnia cookies. 3 of them were about $6,000. And right next to it is the pretzel. I'm like, what do you have? And what they had, I'll forget what it was, what I wanted. They didn't have. All right, give me the pretzel sticks. And, and I dip it in the cheese. I pick it up and I'm like, that's obscene.
Cheese cup.
And my wife, she hits me like, stop, watch the game. So
I left.
I ate it.
I didn't say it was obscene. I left, and then he's like, I'm going to make a meme out of this, and I'm like, that's hilarious. And And then Alex was like, "You guys are 12."
I had to recreate it. Yep. She says, "You're 12," and I'm like, "No, about 13."
Right, exactly.
So I recreated it, and I actually, my wife took the photo, so there's no, me culprit for her. She was in on it. But yeah. So, I guess like, we 12-7. All right. So we lose to the Avs 3-2, and then 12-11 we lose to what I say Vegas 3-2.
Vegas 3-2.
But they're all close games.
They were,
and it showed that we can hang with like the big boys at the time, who we thought were going to be the big boys. Some of them are. Later on, we lost one and won one against Dallas. We beat Boston. There was a few other games in there, so we knew we had something kind of when you played those games. Next was the Ducks game, January 6th. We just wanted to fuck a duck, and we did. And that was an excellent game. We won 5-2.
That was the game that Cutter came here and got booed. Or actually, he didn't even play, did he?
No, he played. I thought he played both games. Yeah. He actually scored in both games, I thought.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But all right, so the next I have 121. That was that overtime loss to the Mammoth after leading 3-0.
I knew that was gonna.
Hathaway missed an empty netter. That's another 2-point win we should have had. That's 4 points right there in those two games that we should have won 100%.
And with that Mammoth game, they let up. They had that lead, and they let it go with like 2 minutes to go. So you didn't even get a point out of it. That was the biggest kick in the pants about it, is you were leading that game either 3-1 or 4-1. I can't remember off the top of my head. And you let them come back, and they scored with like 2 minutes to go.
Yep.
You didn't even get a damn point out of it.
Yep, it was 4-2. And
4-2, yeah.
And then they scored. They still had the net. I think they got empty net. They got goals with the extra skater. 2 goals with the extra skater.
Correct.
And before the last one, that was Hathaway was, I don't know, 10 feet away from the goal with the puck on his stick, and I don't know. I guess he's thinking he has time. I want to make sure I hit it. I'm skating up and just dropping it in. Somebody made the smart move and came up and friggin' back-checked and knocked it off him. I mean, whatever. I mean, it was right there for the taking. Again, it was another 3-game road trip, jumping 2 months, like coming out of the Olympic break. We had that West Coast road trip that I mentioned earlier. The Fucks, the Queens, and the Sharks, they're all wins. That's where, all of our all the Flyers, they crossed the urine streams and became blood brothers. I don't know, whatever went on that West Coast trip, I don't know. But, after that, they just kind of didn't even look in the rearview mirror. No. And the last game was 3-31. That was a loss, 6-4 to the Nats, but it was Porter Martone's first game. And I think he was just that jolt at the end, that icing on the cake, that kind of just like, hell yeah, and he had 5 shots on goal. The next game, I don't know if that was the Rangers game, but the next game, it might have been home. I think we lost that game to the Red Wings, maybe.
Yeah.
Then the overtime goal, the nice assist and overtime
against
goal.
The Bruins.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I think that was Easter. When that
might have been. Yeah. So I mean, they in my head, those periods or games are what stuck out to me as, one way or the other made a difference. Phillies score.
Yeah. Justin Crawford just hit a home run, a single
Another
shot.
one. Look at him.
Deep,
fucking power.
Deep center in the little pocket there at Fenway. Deep center. On the other note, Painter gave up a blast over the monster last inning.
Awesome.
So it's 2-1?
1-1. They were both.
I want to go into some comments here. And then I want to make sure I'm saying this right. Natty Leon, probably Natty Leon. He's from Canada. He was talking about they missed Tipper and Konechny cost us big. He's referring a lot to the playoffs.
I have some playoff Konechny things, yes.
And Dave he wanted to go back to the pool talk as soon as the DPF thongs come in. That's when Sig and I
on back order. on back order. We're working on it.
Natty was talking about the 20 breakaways, hit 25 pucks. This is again playoff stuff, Paul. Would a playoff berth happen without an Olympic break? I think that's a really good question. I think that the reset that they managed during that Olympic break really propelled them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys practiced here that weren't in. Mitch Koff went on, he did his getaway, get in shape thing, which evidently made a fucking huge difference.
Right.
Ristolainen and Sanheim came out of the playoffs like gangbusters. That kind of solidified the defense in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a good point. I don't know if they get out of that otherwise.
Yeah, Paul,
I don't know.
Paul, that's a great question, and I'm gonna say no. I don't think if they did not have the Olympic break, I don't think they would have, because you were so down in the dumps. Like, I felt like they were looking forward to that break, and I think they knew they needed to like clear their heads and maybe just have some time off. I don't know if a regular All-Star break where it's only 5 days or so, I don't know if that would have been long enough to do that. So no, I don't think if you did not have the Olympic break, because you can play that. I can't tell you who was the hottest team coming into the Olympic break, but you could play that card too. They probably didn't want to break. It was Buffalo. Well, Buffalo, it worked out for them. But it's all right to be upset. We can talk playoffs soon. But at the same sense, like, we have positives too.
Well, why don't we
Sorry.
Why don't we go into the playoffs? But before we go into playoffs, I just one thing about the season, actually two things about the season I thought really also made a difference. Aside from the Olympics, actually, their power play started okay. It was actually better than it was the year before, at the end of the year before, which wasn't a surprise. Then it went to bad. Then it went to horrendous as we got into the playoffs. So they got to fix the fucking power.
It turned into a joke. It turned into a punchline, and that was probably the most frustrating thing, was that you almost wanted to like, no, we'll
decline it.
That penalty. We'll decline the penalty. Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll decline the penalty.
I see Talkett over there like this,
Right.
Decline the penalty.
Because, and that had, like, what is that, guys? Because is that the players? Does that fall on the players? Because, they went power play after power play after power play with not taking even a shot or mustering maybe a single shot on net. So is that on the players for not executing, or is that on coaches? Is that a coaching failure? I understand that it's a little bit of both, but I mean, like, where do you come down on this?
All right. So, in my opinion, even though guys did play really well, none of them, there's nobody that's a true power play quarterback, in my opinion. Right. I don't think any of these guys are there yet. Sanheim got a lot better, a lot. Drysdale had an excellent season. York had a great season, but none of them showed me that take charge kind of player that a team needs. The other thing I think is they don't have a sniper. They still don't have a sniper. They had nobody over 30 goals. If they had a real fucking goal scorer, it would have made a difference. All eyes would be on him. Maybe one of those guys, maybe one of these guys can develop to be that. I don't know. I still think they need that. I don't know what's being coached. I don't know how it's being coached. It looks very similar to other teams' power plays. They never seem to be able to get the puck to the bumper in the middle. They never seem to have enough time, or they don't make a decision quick enough.
It's like they're double and triple and quadruple guessing themselves.
Yeah, the way that we play the penalty kill is very similar to the kind of penalty kill that they get beat with.
Yeah.
They're making bad decisions when they have the puck. The extra pass. Sometimes they don't take a second to make the pass. They're making blind passes. I don't know. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's personnel. It is probably a little bit of both, but I still think they definitely need a power play quarterback. Maybe Yurcek is that. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about him.
But that's another teaser. So
right, exactly. They're talking about him adding. Drysdale and York definitely improved.
Yes.
Sanheim played up to, I guess, I would call it expectations. He was Sig. Are you okay? All right. I think the Olympics really helped Sanheim.
Sorry.
Because I think before the Olympics, he was just playing mediocre, regular Travis Sanheim hockey. And then he didn't play the first game for Canada, and then he played really well.
Yes.
For Team Canada. And after that, it seemed like he hit another gear.
Yeah.
But I do agree about Drysdale and York seem to kind of find themselves, but these guys are still young. They're still like developing. So, none of these guys are like studs. None of these guys are game changers. And Sig, that's what you're referring to is they need a guy who captains the power play, who comes up, who carries the puck up and is the one who's fucking on that blue line, or pinching in when need be on that power play, because how many times did we see the puck get cleared because there was nobody fucking pinching? So is the guy in the system? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Right.
I think you need to
go out and get somebody.
I think you're going to have to go out and find someone, either free agency or a trade or something like that. The problem is they keep wanting to get it to the middle between the circles, and it seems every team knows that, and they're having 3 or 4 defenders. And then they're also having, I saw this a lot in the Pittsburgh series, is when the Flyers are on the power play and they have the puck at the point, other teams' defensemen or forwards are pressuring them, are coming up to them so that they can't really set it up or quarterback it, if you will. You already said it. You need somebody. You need like a Johnny on the spot or something like that, where you have someone who's going to be a 30-goal scorer, and we don't have that right now. We don't know, if Tippett or Forster, would have been that, but it's I mean, that's another conversation too. But it's power play wise. Yeah, even with the power play, like even in like the power play in the playoffs, it's like I saw a stat in Game 4 that said the Flyers were the 14th best power play in the playoffs. This is Game 4 of the Kane series. 8 teams are dead, and they're still better than you.
Yeah.
You were 14 out of 16, and 8 of them are gone. Like, this is how, like, that's ridiculously bad. And I think Paul mentioned it earlier. The fact that you had the 30-second power play and you made it into the playoffs, not only make it into the playoffs, but actually win around, is mind-blowing. Just completely mind-blowing. I still can't wrap my head around it. That was my whole reasoning why I didn't think they would make the playoffs, is because of how bad their power play is. And I wouldn't say that their penalty kill was bad, but they let in their fair share of shorthanded goals. Even Vladar did, and a lot of them were 2-on-1s, and he was hung out to dry. So again, that goes on your special teams players, if you will.
Right. A goal scored in those 2 minutes is still a fucking power play goal or a shorthanded goal or whatever the case is. That's a special teams goal either way. But
you show Paul's last 2 comments, because I think they're both. You had one up, but the one before that, if it makes one think of the Flyers had a good power play, not great, but good. Do they get past Carolina? No, I don't think they would, but I do think they win 2 games. It was horrendous. They had that one game, that the third game here. The one that got out of hand and got ugly at the end. They had 7, 8 power plays. I don't know. I don't think they scored on one of them. They
were 1 for 7.
They're 1 for 7. All right. So let's just say they hit on 2 of them. That makes a difference in that game at one point. The second game, they score a power play goal, they win. The first game, well, the first game,
let's not talk about game 1.
Yeah, I do think that they got a little fucked over, not to make excuses, but
oh yeah,
right,
with the scheduling, absolutely.
All right, so and his Drysdale, it's good. You're right. We always say potential's the biggest nothing word in sports, but here's the thing about Drysdale. For him, 2025, he was pretty much injury free. That was his biggest knock going into this year. He always gets hurt, and that was one of the reasons why the clocks gave up on him because of his injury. So, and not only that, he really came into his own 5x5. He played very well 5x5.
Very, very true.
They all did play. They all came in their own playing 5x5. So Paul was right. Maybe that next step for Drysdale is the quarterback, the power play quarterback that we need. It's very possible. So to go back to the other question, do we have one on our team? Maybe. We don't know. I still go out and get one, but maybe. I like Marner. We weren't going to trade him. At that point in time, I don't think we were a buy team completely. Because we were looking at them trading Risto. We were a little disappointed they didn't trade Risto.
Right. Yeah. We sold on Brink.
But Marner, I don't know. Maybe you go after Marner. I don't know what kind of capital it would take at that point. Another teaser looking forward. I think the Flyers have a lot more capital now after the playoffs. Not necessarily in picks and money.
It's young players.
You got guys, Barkey and Bump, who's right now, they may be fucking trash going forward, but right now they look good.
Well, this is the sell high moment for a couple guys.
It might be a sell high moment. I don't know if it'll be a sell high moment. Maybe they are what they are. Maybe that's how good they are. Somebody told me once in fantasy sports, you can never trade a guy too early, but you can trade him too late.
Correct.
So if you get something good, I know the whole thing would go. I know that. I know that. I'm tired of hearing that. I'm sorry. I'm tired of hearing that. That was the prior. Decades. That was the Fletcher. Regime. He wanted to play with the team. He wanted to come up play with the team. We said no. We think you should go play in college, and he never showed up in camp and never talked to him again. And he was being one of these twats. So whatever, good for him. Here's the funny thing, and I was saving this too. He's a restricted free agent. For shit and giggles,
just make an offer.
Flyers make a fucking crazy ass fucking offer.
That would be
great. I mean, like good money offer. Worst thing that happens is he gets turned down, but you're forcing the Ducks to pay that bill. I fucking would stick it to the little bitch. But it also puts a black mark on Briere and everything, and I don't think he wants to ruin that at this point.
He wants to deal.
No, he's doing well on his own. Yeah.
But man, shit, that is, in my opinion, tempting. You don't want to play here? Well, here's a nice big offer for you. See if money talks.
Right. Yeah, it usually does.
Dickhead.
Usually does.
Exactly. So we kind of already talked about this, but let's pick out a couple players here, guys, who we think. I mean, we've mentioned everybody, but everybody. I want everybody to name a player or two who either surprised you or just kind of impressed you. I think we'll all save Vladar, so I'll take him off the table. So just a couple guys who you think played above their heads or just make you hopeful? Steve, go ahead first.
I really liked when he came up, Denver Barkey. He was one of the guys I was really looking forward to. You guys also know, like, I like defensemen as well. So I was really hoping at some point that Oliver Bonk would be up. And he was up for a couple games, and then he got the one playoff game too. So maybe he'll make the team next year. We'll see. But I would say Barkey for me, and then I always say his name wrong, but Glendening,
Glendening.
Glendening.
That's fun to say.
Yeah, it always gets me because the spelling isn't how it is, like a lot of names. But I liked him. I thought he did very well this year. And
okay, Sig, Steve, you muted yourself.
Maybe it was Diane on the. She got control.
It wasn't me.
Can you hear us?
Sig, Steve, you muted yourself.
You understood that. We can't hear you.
It says your mic is not connected.
All right. Let's
go ahead, Sig.
Continue. All right. So, it's funny. I thought a lot of guys played well for the most part. A lot of guys improved on the prior year. Coots actually really, he turned it up a notch after the Olympics, and then he turned it up even further. He went to 11 in the playoffs. He might have been your best, like, friggin' offensive and defensive player. He might have led the team in hits. He was doing his usual, face-off stuff. He was winning like over 60% in his face-offs. Yeah, I mean, he had a year that he needed to have because people were starting to get pissed off with him, and he's probably a fourth-line center going forward. But he wasn't in the playoffs, man. He was not in the playoffs. He played a lot better in the playoffs.
Sig, who are you talking about?
There you go.
Couturier.
Okay. Sorry, I was having headphone issues.
I know.
I'm going to sound a little off, but my headphones won't connect, so I got to just go off the computer. But
you sound all right.
You sound
all right. So I was just lamenting on Couturier over the year, especially the second half and in the playoffs. He really looked his age in the last few years. He added hardly anything to the team. He was their number one center. He wasn't doing much. He looked old, and the contract did not look good, even with the increased contracts and cap. It just looked bad, but he showed his value. If he can continue that during the season without tiring out, that's incredible. I mean, he was your best faceoff player. That's another thing that they lack. They need another. Everybody else is around 40, 45%. Some got worse in the playoffs. Dvorak we know why Dvorak got worse. He was playing with a bum shoulder. Right. But the other person that I don't know if it. I don't want to say it was they impressed me, because it kind of going into the season like well, he should have been that way, but and we're back on the alternate bandwagon again. But Mitch Goff, we all know the narrative: out of shape, can't play defense, too many mistakes, dumb penalties, had horrible the first half. He was excellent the second half. He salvaged the season with the second half. He was third in scoring at the end of the year. But, I mean, like almost everybody on the team, he went MIA. He showed flashes, got benched a couple times, which, good, bad, I don't know what that is. But, next year is pivotal for him, and that's another teaser. But, yeah, I mean, he came through in the second half. If he played that way in the first half, no one would be talking about him.
Right. He would be that guy that everybody expected him to be. See, for me and the guy, because you guys named a few. I was kind of happy with Dvorak. Because he was durable. He got that big contract, and I know that we talked about that earlier in the year.
Well, he played into that contract. That's why he got it.
Did.
And that's the point, is that he showed that he earned it and he deserved it, and then he continued playing well. 54%. So he's a 54.5% on the regular season as far as face-off wins. And
it dropped in the playoffs, but we realized that he had to separate his shoulder, and that probably made a difference. So plus some other injuries. All of a sudden he shows up with this nasty ass shiner.
Which is weird. He probably said something to his wife he shouldn't have said.
I don't know. He could get that at any point in time in hockey.
This is true too. But he finished third on the team in points, tied for third with 51, 18 goals. Like Dvorak, he's a solid second, third line center.
I would say so.
He's probably a solid third line center.
That's what I'm saying. Like
borderline second line one, but he was a number one center all year.
Well, yeah,
and that's it helped. It actually made a difference because I don't know. Noah Cates wasn't running away with anything, and Zegras wasn't. They didn't view him as a center for most of the season until they needed him.
Right.
So,
but you were talking about Forster, and missing all that time really hurt him, and it hurt the Flyers. And you said that we didn't have a 30 goal scorer, but if you extrapolate his numbers, I did a little bit of math, and
it was like 45, 49 goals, something like that.
I think I got 36, but it's still
creative accounting on my part.
Still more than what we had.
And it's that 30 goal scorer that we were looking for, but we need more. You need more than
another one.
Goals. You need more than one guy who scores like 30, 35. You need several, and you need a guy that flirts with 100 points. You know what I mean? Like, I know there are few and far between these days, but
well, it's good with you want to have balanced scoring, but at the same sense, you'd like to have balanced scoring where you have 15 guys on your team with 10 goals and like 5 guys or 3 guys with like 30. You can still mix and match with the amount of who's getting what, or you could even have like a 20 goal scorer still on a third line. Like that's what these good teams have.
Correct.
That's what the Hurricanes and the Avalanche, that's what these teams have. That's what they're doing. And that's why they are where they are. And we are not.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We're building. We've accepted, we understand where this is and what needs to happen. But I think making the playoffs this year was so huge for this team in the fact that you need to learn. You need that playoff experience. And the fact that you actually won a round, that's also great experience too. I go back, I say it with like the 2007 Phillies. Like, it was good for them. They didn't win a game, but it was good for them to get that playoff experience. It was good in 2021 for Jalen Hurts to get that experience. You got your asses whooped on all of that, but you learned something and you came out better the next year. The next year, the Phillies won the World Series. The next year, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. Like, you learn from these things. I'm not saying we're going to the finals next year, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
that's what I
playoff experience matters. It really does matter. So I know you got your ass kicked with Carolina, but there's still so much hope. Like with Carolina, if you put in like the regular season as well, 6 of the 8 games went to overtime. You weren't getting your ass kicked.
Like, we battled them in
this team.
Right. Every iteration of this team, whether it was the playoffs, whether it was the regular season, whether it was with the injuries or not, or pre-break, post-break. Every time we played these guys, we played them tight for the most part. And this is the best team in the conference. Potentially, we'll see what happens, but they haven't lost in the fucking playoffs yet.
Yeah. So, and again, with that, that's only for a team to start 8-0. This is only the 15th time this has happened in NHL history. This doesn't happen often. This team's good. Not only that, with Carolina. I mean, it goes back to what Sig was saying with our scoring. You didn't score 3 goals. You didn't score 3 goals in your last 6 playoff games. So, like, how are you like, Vladar is doing what he can, but for crying out loud, you're not doing anything for the poor guy. You're not helping him. How are you expecting to win these playoff games if you cannot score 3 goals? Like, that's a problem.
Well, and that's what Nadi was saying earlier, is that the breakaway, not being able to score on a breakaway and hitting the post, and I don't know how many times they buried the puck right in the goalie's chest. In the playoffs, it was Shilov's. Once Pittsburgh made their change, and then the whole Carolina series, that the puck was just finding the goalie or finding the post, or if it came off a Konechny stick, it was finding the boards behind the net. It was finding the fucking glass. It was finding the net, the netting, I should say, not the net. So it just, I don't know what happened to these guys in the playoffs. Where it just kind of like they just fell flat. After going up 3-0 on Pittsburgh, they just kind of fell flat. So you can look at it and say, okay, they lost 6 of their last 7 games of the season. Now, if they had done that in the regular season and didn't make the playoffs, we'd be kicking Tocchet. We'd be kicking fucking Vladar. We'd be pissed off right now. The fact that they made the playoffs, won a series, like we're fucking happy, dude. At the end of that fucking game, when we were all at up at Coca-Cola Park watching the fucking Iron Pigs, when that game ended, it felt like a gut punch. Even though it was kind of a foregone conclusion, it sucked. And I got to be honest, it still sucks, but I can talk about it now. I wasn't ready to talk about this for a couple days.
Yeah.
Because I had to process it. And our buddy Jake, who isn't here right now, I swear when I looked over at him and he was sitting on the fucking couch, he was visibly upset. Now maybe he had a couple beers, I don't know. But he looked visibly like this shit affected us. Even though it was the 2007 Phillies that weren't expected to be there.
Yeah. I mean,
it still hurt.
Yeah.
Because we were there. Once you're there, you want it all.
Yeah. And the problem is game 2 and game 4, they were yours for the taking.
Yes.
And you could have had it. And the fact that when you lost game 2, I'm like, it's over. Because you had so much momentum. You had an early lead and you did nothing with it. You didn't put anything else. You were up 2-0. What was it? 7-8 minutes into the first period. And nothing after that. You can't sit on a lead like that against this team in their house. You just can't do it. And I know you're road warriors, but you can't do that. You lost a series in game 2, and it just reminded me so much of the overtime in game 6 versus Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh played better than us that game, and we got the goal and we got out of there. And I felt the same exact way game 2.
That's karma.
Where we outplayed them and overtime and everything, and we just couldn't get a damn thing by Anderson. And props to him. He did super well. Again, the guy hasn't given up 3 goals all postseason in 8 games. Yeah, like, that's hard to do in the regular season.
We didn't make him work all that hard, though.
No, I kept saying, like you said, with like the post and stuff, I kept doing like the Happy Gilmore where they kept hitting the post. Is that goal regulation size? Like they just kept like missing or hitting it. And it's like, it was just so, like, I think that's the thing. If you would have just gotten completely like killed, I would have been happy. Honestly, the fact that you were actually in these games is what makes it like more aggravating. And the fact that, shit, we're not as far off as you think, kind of things, when you can hang with these teams. And Sig was talking about with like the Western teams earlier with like the Avalanche and how you beat them one time and then you lost 3-2 the other one, and you were so damn close.
Paul is making the same point you're making here, and just real quick, Sig, and I'll turn it over. I'm looking at the game 3. Was it when Carolina won 4-1?
That was a bad one, yeah.
It
got away from them.
Well, and that's what it is. Is it what made it so bad is that Carolina took the lead, we tied it up, and then they took the lead again, and then they just played this. They protected the lead while still being aggressive in a way that just shows the difference between like the readiness of Carolina versus the readiness of the Flyers. I'm not saying ready for the game. I'm saying ready for success.
Yeah, I mean, they played aggressive.
Good.
They played aggressive. They took stupid penalties, but we could do shit against it.
Right.
If we had any semblance of a power play and scored on one or two of those, 6 other power plays that we had, they would think twice about being as aggressive. It would change the whole game. I wonder. I mean, a lot of guys went missing in the playoffs. A lot of guys went missing in the second half, but we were still winning because a lot of other players are scoring. I wonder if some of these guys either hit a wall. They were playing at such a high level trying to get into the playoffs and very energetic about it. And also their first series was against your arch rival. I mean, everybody was fucking into it. The fans were in it. They were going nuts and bloodletting and killing penguins in the stands. I mean, they were feeding off of that also. And that was all that adrenaline, all that. And I just wonder if, they didn't have time to reset for one thing. Coaches didn't have time to coach. Now everything's on the fly and there's an urgency. I just think the whole frame of mind overall. But they were in every one of these games, even that third game. I mean, they just, besides the power play, and everybody, even the Penguin series, any odd man rush, nothing. Any 2-on none, nothing.
2-on none, which was insane.
Konechny is probably the biggest disappointment. I think he said it too about himself.
Yeah.
He had a handful of breakaways, nothing.
Yeah.
Hit guys in the chest, hitting posts, missing completely. Martone and whoever passing right in front and dead center instead of taking a shot. I'm not blaming any one person. But we were in those games, but we didn't win them. Doesn't matter if we were in them. So.
Yeah. And the thing that also sucks, Chris mentioned it earlier, with your defensemen like shooting and stuff. The 2 minutes into game 3, Ristolainen had a shot that went off of the side of like the goal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could you imagine game 3, like you just came home 2 minutes in and that goes in? That completely changes the building. That changes all the trajectory of the game.
Not that it matters, but game 2, did anybody think that was interference in overtime?
Yes.
On the goalie?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The trip?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the game where they
scored? The overtime game that we lost?
Scored.
So like Taylor Hole goal that went in in overtime and kind of skittered it off to the side while Vladar was playing with himself on the other side.
Yeah, he couldn't get over.
He had somebody going.
Chris said the Flyers power play was like me in the 90s at the bar. So I'm assuming that's no game, Chris. let us know.
Or
no shot.
I don't think it would have been. I question more why, we didn't throw the red flag on that.
Yeah.
Does it look like sour grapes? Is that talk? It's kind of like macho credo. We fucking lost. Let's just get out of here and not whine about it. I kind of would have threw the flag just in case maybe the judges saw it a different way.
Challenge it. It's a 2-minute penalty, but who gives a fuck at that point?
Yeah, it's over. So I don't. I don't recall them ever questioning it.
No,
the announcers said that might be
it.
interference, but then it just nothing happened with it. It was the next day it kind of blew up.
What game was it where the fucking Frederick Anderson tripped whoever it was skating by, and then whoever it was skating by got called for a fucking interference?
That was game 3, right?
Like game 3, and
because we were all together, and that was one of the things that we were texting back and forth, and we posted. We weren't together when that happened, so that had to be game 3.
Mm-hmm. Right, and Chris had also mentioned about the major being changed to the minor.
That's another huge.
That was game 3.
That was where it really felt like, okay, not only are the Flyers not good enough, and they're not lucky enough, but they're just getting fucked on top of both of those factors. They're just getting screwed as well.
I don't like complaining about referees because I do think everything comes around. But
I didn't think they were bad in game 4. But in game 3, what Sig's talking about, like that's where you went like 1 for 7, and didn't Carolina have 8? It was like somebody had 7 and somebody had 8. Like in game 4, they put the whistle away a little bit, which was nice. But
that's the thing that fucking sucks about that. Excuse me, is that you're blowing the whistle all series. And then in game 4,
you change it up.
Away. You've already established the way the games are going to be called, and then you pull back on that.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. That's not really how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be consistent throughout the series. Are they the same refs every night for the series? Do the refs work the series, or do they still move around?
I didn't take notice. I don't know.
Right.
But I think a lot of the calls that they call are ticky-tack, and they shouldn't be called in overtime that people fight through shit. If it's egregious, there you go, that word. If it's egregious, you call it. But I think some of this stuff was pretty horrendous. And Natty, that Montreal, it's funny. Montreal, any of those games, those people are on another world right now. They're pretty raucous. I don't know if anybody can go in there and win.
This is a smart dude right here.
Egregious. At least you spelled it right.
I mean, like I think ticky-tack penalties. They were, and again, like even with like all like the power plays and everything, like Tocchet said it after game 4 press conference. He's like we squeezed everything we could out of these guys. He's like, I'm not disappointed in them. And he's like, I'm happy with how they did. Like, you're not there yet. It's okay. Like, Carolina's a powerhouse. They were in this position in years past, and now look at them. Like, you're building. You're on the up and up. Again, we're missing the fact that you had. Like, what? You never went to the playoffs with Torts. Like, had an impact. Oh yeah,
they had an effect on the game, not an impact.
Yeah, but I still think like you're going to be fine. This is year 1 of a coach, and
I just heard my wife laugh at that.
What? Oh,
your wife's thing? Comment.
Yeah, the wives are coming after us.
Yeah, they're
that. Okay. But yeah, it's like you didn't go to the playoffs with Torts. So I mean, it's like, and dudes won a Stanley Cup and everything like that. I know that Tocchet's won a couple as an assistant coach, but like not as a head coach. And I just think it's really encouraging in year 1 what you did. And I can't. I know we got whooped, and you got swept, if you will. But like, I'm happy. I think this team is like, I am so excited for the future. Just think of having Porter Martone for 84 games. Like, that's awesome. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I put a post out there not long afterwards, after I had a few hours to and a few beers to reflect, and I got a little sappy. But the fact that it hurt and it stung, and even knowing going in, I we weren't the better team, but anything can happen, and we know that anything can happen. We had a hot goalie, and in each game, I'm in the middle of each game, so I'm in the game. Why we should be winning this game? Why aren't we winning this game? Whatever it is, and when it's over, we lost, we get swept. It hurt, it stung, and the reason why it is because we were there. We were in, the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not only we didn't just show up, we almost fucking crushed the Pens in 4 games.
Right.
We wound up beating them. We got out of that pretty much by the skin of our teeth in the end. But, we went around and, we, for the most part, we were with the Canes, even though we lost every game. We were with the Canes. It was a few things here and there, fix a few areas, tweak a few things. And it's the off season. The players got beneficial playoff experience. It's just going to help them immensely. It's going to put that fire and drive in their belly. They learned a lot of valuable lessons. They got, and again, this is for the next pod. They got money, they got picks, they got players. They maybe have some key players or areas that they need. They might be viable.
I think they are.
The
Chris
next
makes another good point here about Vladar potentially being exhausted by the end of this run, playing way more hockey than he ever has at this level. And you could tell it, like some of the goals that he gave up in those games against Carolina, even against Pittsburgh.
Yep. So you need a viable backup.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The third goal in game 3 was kind of weak. That was the one that was like off to the side and like kind of went off his shin guard and skate in the corner. And then when that became 3-1, I mean, that was you were done. You knew it. But Sig, you had said something in our text message, if you want to like elaborate, where you had said you're like at this when we were down 3-0, you said like if I'd rather just lose at home so that they could get like an ovation and stuff from the fans. So you should talk about that.
So it started with one of you guys said that I don't want them winning on our ice, and I thought about that, and I'm like after the season, I think it would be beneficial if they did lose, if they had to lose, they lost on home ice. And I knew that the fans were going to give them a standing ovation. I think that means more than losing. They feel appreciated, and you're going to work harder when your bosses appreciate you, and they show you that and they give you the pat on the back. I work at a place where, I don't necessarily get a pat on the back, and it's, it sucks. If you don't get appreciated or at least said, hey, you're doing a good job. Thank you. But then my next thing was, but if we get, I don't want to lose yet. And if we get to game 6, fuck it, I'm all in. I'll lose game 7 at that point.
Exactly.
I think it made, I think it really, it's another thing that was good for the players.
I think it's very important for players wherever they play, but it seems to be especially effective here in Philly. When players experience winning in this town, and then they experience the fan reaction and the fan support. And I was the one who said I didn't want them celebrating on our ice. The funny thing is, the whistle sounded. Now, Diane rightfully turned off the television, so we didn't see it, but we've all seen the highlights since.
Yeah. They
pretty much did their thing. They lined up like hockey does, and they did the handshakes.
And it was all let's go Flyers for like 4 minutes.
Right. And Carolina left the ice, and the Flyers stood out there and acknowledged the fans while the fans acknowledged the Flyers. That's the beauty of it, man, is that the fans recognize the guts, the determination, the dedication. They respect that, and when the players experience that for the first time, especially these young guys, that carries with them. And then I read an article this today while I was kind of coming up with some shit. The article said that every one of the fucking free agents, every
so
one of the
reading on the
agents,
toilet,
they all want to come back. What's that?
You're reading on the toilet.
No, I was reading at work when I wasn't.
You said
doing my
you were
job,
reading
Sid.
and trying to come up with some shit. So
You've been talking to
Come up
me
with
too
some
much. That's me.
material, Sig. This is the way I speak, man. We're from Philly. We say shit a lot. No, but basically, you made me lose my train of thought, cocksucker. Legit,
they all want to come back. They all want to come back.
Yeah, they're free agents. Thank you, Sig, cocksucker.
Hey.
No, but these guys all want to be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Glenn Denning might retire, but if they ask him to come back, he might not retire. Like that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Even guys like Abels, these guys all want to be part of this. And it's because they won, and it's because the fans showed out and showed up, and not like the fucking Sixers. You know what I mean? But the Sixers got to learn from this, and I'm not turning this into fucking DFF holds court. But basically, when you win and you show that you care about winning, the fans will go crazy for you. The fans 100%. Will support you.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I think ultimately that's what this season was all about. It was about pulling us back in. Our page grew from 2,400. We're well over 13,000 now.
Yeah.
We started a fucking podcast that seems to be successful. We sell merchandise. We're able to have this viable page, this viable community that we're building, because the Flyers are winning and people are into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when they compete, it's fun.
Yeah. And it was just so nice because you hear even like Jim Jackson was saying, he's like on the radio, he's like, you don't see a team be so excited or so happy when a team gets swept. He's like, you're not going to see something like this again. He's like, now there's going to be expectations with this team. And and if they get swept next year, like in the first round or second round, like, and it's at home, like we're not going to be cheering like we were this time. This is to show appreciation. This is to show that we are with you, but also like, yes, we do have tough skin, but we also have heart too. So it is nice to hear that and to hear that the free agents want to come back. And hopefully it does attract other players. I know that both Cooch and Konechny were talking about that in post-game conferences. He's like, Tocchet even did too. He said, we just wanted to put the Flyers back on the map. And he's like, did that. He said, those are his words. He's like, we want the Flyers to be back on the map. And he's like, I feel like we have started to do that. And
Brind'Amour said that.
What?
Brind'Amour said that to Tocchet during the handshake.
Oh, I missed that. So
yeah, look that up. That's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, and again, that's somebody who else can appreciate it. Rod Brind'Amour can appreciate it. I'm sure he was thrilled to death, like hearing. Well, his team just won, also, but hearing that, like, I'm sure he was encouraged by that too. Because yes, he's a Hurricane, but he has roots here, and he still loves the fans. You've heard him talking in the press conferences going into the series and after games and such, and he's like, it's going to be a hostile environment when we go to Philly and things like that, and the fans did a great job on both games, like being ruckus and stuff. So I'm just encouraged for the future, and I think there are a lot more brights and a lot more pros than there are cons, if you will. So yeah, agreed. I'm excited for the future. And exactly what Rob said, like with our page, like we're going to do stuff during the summer. We'll do pods and maybe random giveaways, things like that. But the fact that in not even a full year, just like one hockey year, we were able to gain about 11,000 plus subscribers. Like, thank you guys so much for all of that. You've made this a lot of fun for us. And, you know, maybe the Flyers have heard some of our comments because they started playing better. And once the team started getting better, and we're 5 points out of the playoffs, we're 3 points out of the playoffs, and we just kept gaining people. So hopefully that continues throughout like the years and all. So just thanks to all you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Natty.
I think that's a good place to
end it.
End it, right. Guys, don't forget, anybody who's still watching, you can go to butchershop.myshopify.com to get some of the DFF logo gear and some other stuff. And you can also go to the Drunk Flyers fans, Drunk Phil's fans website, the Drunk Flyers fans collections, to get some of the other stuff. You can get while you're down there, you can get the logo. And you know, just get some gear. You know, rocks glasses and tumblers and just all kinds of fun shit. And we want to thank Aristeas for providing us with some product. You know, I got some Well Damn coffee, some cold brew. Steve and Sig have both been drinking some beers. So go ahead and support Aristeas for helping us out. We do appreciate Harry and all his people. They had us over a few times, couple watch parties. Unfortunately, did they lose both times we were there, or did they win one and lose one?
No, they won one.
Yeah,
they won the Detroit game. They won the Boston game. They lost the Detroit game.
That's right.
Yep.
All right. So,
can I add something real quick?
Sorry, Sig. I already cut it off. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah, it says live, and the 7 people are watching might be interested. Tomorrow night, if you're an Eagles fan, we have an Eagles podcast for the upcoming schedule release. We're on at what, 8:30?
8:30.
8:30. And everything you need to know about the schedule, which games to go to because we'll be there, or which games to bet your house on, but don't take it from us. Whatever. So tomorrow night, 8:30, Eagles schedule release. We'll be there.
I'm trying to get it right. I said Drunk Eagles fans. That was incorrect.
Yes.
Follow us on Facebook or follow Drunk Eagles fans, and then you'll find the link there for the podcast for tomorrow night, Birds on Tap, and we're going to talk about the schedule. It's going to be fun. We're going to have about 14 people on.
Yeah.
So
we'll be arguing.
It's all going to be thumbnails, and we're all going to be fucking screaming and hollering. But we promise no politics.
That's right.
All right. We appreciate everybody. I am going to bring on Walter Keane and his DFF on Ice theme, and I'm going to fucking play us out. Guys, great show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. DFF on Ice. Let's go Flyers. Take the fucking shot.